Hi guys, so this is part two of it. Now we want to talk about the next stage of the question. The basic questions have talked about it in my previous video. Those basic questions they start with: tell me about yourself. Why have you applied for this role? Why this organization? You know, just that these are the basic questions. And then one of them that came there, the basic question was like, how would you approach change management, and what techniques or methodology do you use? So those ones are your first basic question to test. As I said, you're confident. Now let's go to question number, or the next set or stages of question. Just to remind you, was this is an interview that's coming up for someone, and the interview questions, I got them from ChatGPT by posting the job description and asking ChatGPT, can you, based on the job description, can you give me the possible interview question? Now this question, it doesn't mean that you have to learn everything, but you have to go for the basic ones that you feel that might be there. If you've got the time, you can learn everything. There are some questions that may be irrelevant, but it's good to go through them. Right, let's go to the next stage of the question about stakeholder management. Now, based on the job description, this is one of the questions about stakeholder management. Describe a time when you had to engage with multiple stakeholders. Now, they've listed the different stakeholders in the department based on the job description to deliver a change initiative, and what was your approach, and what were the outcome. So this kind of question, they are looking for examples. So you need to use your STAR approach. Um, well, let's see if we can go through it together. I don't think you can see that clearly, but I'll just read through it and I'll show you the kind of answer that came out from it. Now, stakeholder management question on stakeholder management. Describe a time when you had to engage with multiple stakeholders. Now, there are different stakeholders there. For me, I would say, based on my job role, the current project I worked on, in the current project I worked on, there were different stakeholders in different departments that I need to work, even third party. So for me, I'll give an example of how I engage my stakeholders. So with the current project I was working on, as I said, there are different departments. So what I started with was kind of an initial communication with the different stakeholders. I first of all identify who my stakeholders were, because when the project was assigned to me, the person that assigned the project to me, I reached out to the person. Okay, who are the stakeholders? Who do I need to contact? Who are the key stakeholders for this? Who is the responsible owner, like the sponsor, the key stakeholder that you need to go for the bids from business, the stakeholder from the technical department, the third party I was working with as well, the stakeholder at different stage, even with the security aspect, the cyber security or other security aspect of the project, the stakeholders for them. But now, when I initially identified those stakeholders, what I did first was to approach them. First of all, I started with email, approaching them, telling them, okay, I'm working on so project. I'm the business analyst, technical business analyst for this project, and I will be communicating with you time in and time out. And also, I then organize an initial meeting just to introduce myself, talk about the project, know few things about them, know the kind of availability they've got, their capacity, letting them know the importance of the project, giving them some kind of brief understanding of the project and why we need them, why I need to work with them. And also, I also identify if they've got any holidays coming, just to know something about about my stakeholders to kick off. So that's what I started with the initial one. And then after the initial engagement, I also have little meetings based on the project. Now, I have meeting with the business to gather my requirement. Then I had the business stakeholders, which they are different. Then I have separate meeting with the technical team to discuss the requirement. When the requirement has been validated, to discuss the requirement with those stakeholders. And then I had meetings with the sponsor, the third party regarding to the project, meetings with the security team regarding the project. And then when I need to collaborate, and at some point I needed to collaborate with the business and the technical team. So I did collaborated with them, and then at some point I needed to collaborate the business, the technical team, and the third party. So I did that. So at some stage you know how to engage, then keeping them in the loop in every emails, copying them just so they know the updates. Now let's go to this question that we've just read, the answer they've given, and go through it. This is just my own experience. Now we can go through the answer from the chat GPT. So each of the interview question, I re-ask that in the same page so that it knows I'm referring to the same page. Now it says, when answering this question, you have to describe a time. This is now the example. You give a situation. Now that situation is this: at my previous organization, I led a change initiative to implement. You need to mention that previous organization as well. I led a change initiative, go through this new remote working policy, this. Now the task is, my task was to ensure smooth transitioning to the new policy. I know, as I said, ChatGPT says a lot, but you don't need to say everything. You just pick the basic thing and then you follow the approach. You now give them the approach that you started with. Initial conversation. Now this is saying early and transparent communication. I began by organizing series of initial. So the same thing like I said. Then stakeholder workshop. You facilitated a workshop with a representative from different departments. You collaborating planning from cross-functional department, and then feedback. This is really beautiful. So when you talk about the action, as I said, star approach, talk about the action. The star is, you start with the situation. This is the situation. This is the situation, the task, the action, and now the result. This is what you will say. So as a result of the approach, we successfully implemented a new remote working policy. Now, let me go through this and see how I can summarize this for you. It might be easier. Just give me a moment. So going through this, I'll answer this based on what I've read. So situation, in my previous role in Barclays, any job, anywhere you can say, I was assigned to a project, or there was a situation where new remote working is essential, and it has some significant impacts to several departments, including HR department, health and safety, the union staff. Now the policy is to aims at improving flexibility to reduce overhead costs and to support employees' well-being. Now my task was to ensure the smooth transitioning to the new policy while balancing the needs and interests of all stakeholders. My action, what I did was to first of all have an initial meeting with the different key stakeholders. You can start by saying I identify the different stakeholders first, and then have an initial meeting with the key stakeholders, then organize a facilitate workshop with the representative from each department, HR, health, union, each department, to understand their specific needs, and then collaborated, or I established a cross-functional working group to consist of different members from the stakeholder team, and this group met weekly to discuss. So this is kind of the collaboration you did. I did collaborate with the team and plan some collaboration, get their understanding from the different team, or I would say ensure that all voices are heard, and we develop a shared understanding. So you feedback, why they say this, you have to repeat back, right? This is what you said. You say it in different ways to be sure that you understand what they're saying, and then you fed back the loop. Now with this, I'm just giving my own understanding based on the meeting. After the workshop, make sure you say that then I communicated this back via email, just to make sure I understand the workshop or understand their pain points. So I communicated that back to emails underneath, saying, if I have missed out anything, can you please reply me back with the right answers. Then feedback loop, I implemented the regular feedback loop by conducting different focus group to gather input, consistent updates. I ensure or I maintain open and consistent communication with all stakeholders through emails. So this is ways of answering that question. At the end of the day, it was successfully implemented and all needs were met successfully. Something like that. You can do that, you can say that, and you said you check that feedback at every month to see how it goes, because it's change management. Yeah, right. Thank you.